Welcome to the official Bathtub Refinishing Podcast, powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. This is where we discuss the refinishing industry, interview owners and operators, and give tips to customers and entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Daniel Montalvo.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the official Bathtub Refinishing Podcast. Yay. Let me see which one. Hey. I wanted to play the clapping one, but I forgot which one it is. All right. So today we have a special guest. I'm going to go ahead and cut to her now. And go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody listening.
Hi, my name is Marissa Duff, and I co-own and operate Perma-Glaze of Texas, Bathtub Refinishing in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas.
You see, that's good. I wasted no time. I wanted to introduce you right away to get the butterflies out of the way. Because I know some people...
I got nervous even though we've been talking beforehand for a while.
People get weird about the video thing. Yeah, once you do it like 2 or 3 times, you get used to it. It's way weirder for me because I'm just staring at this lens over here, like in a corner.
Oh.
Yeah. So you have a bathtub refinishing company, and you basically kind of give people some backstory, how you got into the industry, and kind of where you guys are now, issues, things like that.
Okay, well, I guess our backstory. My mom, Kelly, and I own the company together. So before we got into it, she had been in a lot of realms of real estate for pretty much her whole career. And in 2015, she was managing some investment properties for an investor. She coordinated all of the turnover remodels and for him. And she called Perma-Glaze of Texas to learn about refinishing and hopefully get some bathtubs scheduled for a few of the units for an apartment, I believe. And so she called, and this wonderful lady answered all my mom's questions, and, you know, was really thorough with her about refinishing, what it is, the process, what to expect. And my mom was like, great, I want to schedule. And she said, well, actually, my husband passed away and he was the one who did the refinishing. So I'm going to have to refer you off to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And my mom was like, well, wait, you just answered all my questions. I want you guys to do it. Okay. So long story short, my mom and this lady kept in contact, and she had been thinking for a few years that she really wanted to be her own boss and own her own company. So she did some research on the industry, and technically Perma-Glaze is a franchise. Okay. Although we don't really operate as one. So she contacted other franchise owners to get their perspective and decided this was going to be her business. So she purchased the business from this woman and she went to Arizona, which is where Perma-Glaze headquarters is, and got trained for a few weeks. Although getting trained in a couple weeks sounds like it sounds like it would be a thing, but really you learn a lot on the job.
Yeah, I always tell that to people when they ask us for like courses and training. I'm like, I could happily take $1,500 out of your pocket, but you don't really learn until you go and make the mistakes, and that's just the truth.
Exactly. Yep, and we figured that out. But since she purchased an existing company, we had an online presence, and there were people who, investors who had already been using Perma-Glaze of Texas. So when she took over, she became overwhelmed very quickly. She was doing all the labor herself and all the booking and everything. So she actually got a job at a hotel doing all of their bathtubs, and she hired a friend's nephew to help her out. And I think he was a friend's nephew. I don't really remember how she found him, but she quickly realized finding help was not necessarily the easiest.
Yeah.
Finding good, reliable help. So she came to me. She invited me to that hotel where she was working in downtown Dallas. And she was like, come have dinner with me after work. I was working as a medical esthetician at a plastic surgeon's office. So I was doing things like chemical peels and lasers and stuff in the beauty industry. So I was in a completely different industry.
Wow.
And she had come to me and she was like, I need your help. If you can give me a year of your time to get this business off the ground, then you can go back to doing what you're doing. So I agreed. I was like, that sounds amazing. I want to help you. I want you to be successful. So I quit my job in April of 2016. And, we've been doing this thing for well over a year together.
Wow. That's very, very interesting. I always ask people typically the first time I kind of have them on, like their backstory, because everyone's journey is completely different. So like mine is unique because I grew up in this like since I was a little kid. My dad started doing this way before I was even thought of in 1993. So like I've
been in it.
Yeah, so like my whole life I was around this. So just like my parents wanted me to go to college, I think, but like I always told them like, why would I do that when like I could do this? Like, and so and they kind of, and I've talked about it before, but it's similar to what we were talking about on Instagram. Like they started, like their business started slowing down and stuff when the internet really became prevalent. And that's kind of where me and my brother's strong suit kind of helped re-energize the business, because they weren't doing well. They were having trouble. They had projects. It was weird. Like they had projects, but like they didn't have the residential work to maintain people every day. So people started leaving because the schedule was too sporadic. And also, advertising online non-existent. I mean, they wanted to do like newspaper ads and stuff, and it's, things like that. And so when me and my brother took over, they were in debt. Like the company wasn't really making any money. It was unfortunate. Like people that were here for years had to be let go, and we kind of just did everything ourselves. It was almost like started from scratch. The only difference is we had a lot of the equipment and stuff, so that's kind of an upper hand. And we had compressors, extractors, and the vehicles. So like the startup cost wasn't what they had to go through. But as far as the business building side of it, it was as if we had to start from square one. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, I listened to your first introductory episode, and I was like, because you asked me to be on here, and I was like, well, before I agree to anything, I want to make sure I, like this guy's vibe, and I'm in a few Facebook groups for bathtub refinishers, and some people can be their groups are helpful. I think that's what helped me really get to the level I'm at now of, I think I'm great at my job, but a lot of it's due to the advice of other people. But some of them are very, they think they're the only person who knows how to refinish a bathtub. So I kind of just wanted to make sure you weren't like that. But I really liked your vibe, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like he understands like the struggle I'm currently like going through. So I was so excited to talk to you.
Well, I definitely know people that are like that. And by the way, I just wanted to let you know real quick, I got some notification here that apparently it's gonna make me like restart the conversation after 10 minutes. I guess there's some pro version I need to buy, which I guess they really quick to take your money.
Oh my gosh!
I might have to. What I'll do is when that happens, I'll just cut it and then just cut back to it after. I guess I'll pay for the thing.
Okay, yeah. Hopefully we don't have to do that whole thing again.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying, but yeah, I definitely know what you mean when you're talking about like the people who are know-it-alls in the industry, and those tend to be the people who never have work.
Yeah.
Those are also the big complainers that say like, oh, hotels don't want to pay and people don't want to pay in their house and all this stuff, and it's like, it's like anything. Brand building is important, and actually, like, having room for growth mentally is very, very important because things are always changing, especially in this industry.
Oh, for sure.
So what have been some struggles that you guys have had like this far? Things that have been difficult, kind of to get a grasp on.
I would say the biggest thing is finding some kind of schedule consistency. Because for us, I don't know why, it seems like we are either scheduled 3 months in advance, or I'm like, all right, in 2 weeks, we don't have any work coming up. We need to do something quick to find some customers. So it's very either or. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to figure out what it is we do when it's, super scheduled out, mm-hmm. and we've got lots of work and we're not worried, but, I can't really pinpoint what that is. So the biggest struggle, I think, is how do we get to a point where it waxes and wanes so drastically, less? How can we find some consistency? Because I'm the type of person where even if I'm not on a job site, like laboring every day, I am still constantly working. And I like to work. I want to work. So I don't like the days where we're just like, well, I have work Tuesday through Friday, but nothing on Monday type of thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that, and I could sympathize with that because I'm very similar in that way. So I'm at the point now where I don't have to be on every job site. You know what I mean?
That's great. I want to get there.
But I love like what I do, so I will find other things to do. That's just how I operate. So I definitely can sympathize with that. So what are you guys doing advertising wise? I'm doing that thing I was telling you about. I'm seeing if I could just do it while we're recording, so I don't have to cut.
Okay.
So I'm listening, and I'll be able to.
Okay. No worries. Okay. If we have to cut at any point, just cut me off because I tend to just talk and keep talking.
It's okay.
What we do currently is I've been working on our Instagram page for about 3 years now and really getting it to grow, and I almost have 1,000 followers, and I've been really intentional about making sure the people who follow us are people who are actually potentially either customers or somebody it would be great to network with. So I try really hard to build connections with people on Instagram. We're almost at 1,000 people, which is great. But I mean, as long as the interactions are genuine and it's not just like people following for the sake of following, I think that's great. So we do that. It takes up a lot of time, but it's free, so can't complain. Mm-hmm. I do Google Ads. We are kind of talking about that, and need to step my game up on that for sure.
So the big thing for me with Google Ads is that Google Ads targets people who are already in the market. So that's one of the things where we were talking about Facebook and why I am very like into don't keep everything in one place, even if it's working the best. Don't keep everything in one place, because Google's always going to feel like it's working better because everyone's already ready. They're actively searching for what it is. On Facebook, your advertising is you're trying to educate people. And then whenever they have the need, they know, hey, I call Perma-Glaze. You know what I mean? So that's the difference there. So Google Ads is very effective, and you get faster results. But one thing that Google Ads is not good for like at any point is brand building at all. I mean, you know, there's no brand building because it's basically just like a bunch of people bidding on a keyword, and whoever has the deepest pockets gets up top. That's how it works 90% of the time. There's little things you can do, tweaking, you know, words and keywords and stuff to try to outrank the other person. But most of the time, Google's going to side with whoever's paying them more.
Correct.
So that's kind of the game with that. And that's why I said it's important to focus on Facebook and Instagram ads and stuff, because that's where you're going to do your brand building, your reach. And the most effective way to do that is to start small and local, do a 5-10 mile radius around your service area, and push that super hard. Like, you should start seeing like people who are friends and family saying like, oh, I saw your ad, like, or like stuff like that. That's what you want. That's a sign that it's starting to work. And then once you start seeing that return on investment after you've gone back and kind of like remarketed to them with like an offer or something like that, that's when you can be like, okay, this is working, this didn't work, and then tweak, and then maybe put another 5 mile radius on top of that, and then eventually you get to your whole service area. But you do want to be doing both things.
That makes sense. I never thought of it that way, because yes, one reason I do like Google is because it is people searching for your service. So, you know, I did like Facebook, but sometimes it just felt like throwing money into the air and like hoping you'd catch it again.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the thing that sucks about all of these things is that Google spoils it for everybody, because Google is the instant gratification, and that's just the truth. Like, if you see that you got 100 clicks today, and you got like 10 calls like within, you know, a day or two, you know that people saw that ad and clicked it, and everything kind of makes sense because it's happening right now. Facebook and things like that, they're literally like educating people that you exist, and you have to assume that most people aren't in the market for it today. But long-term brand building is the only thing that really matters. Eventually, Google's going to have to change the way they do things, as like, I don't know if you heard, like, you know, how strict things are getting with advertising, where Facebook had to change their whole algorithm like a year ago because of iPhone. And it's only going to keep getting more strict and stuff, because a lot of that stuff gets into privacy law and stuff like that. So like, eventually Google's going to change their system, or make it a lot more expensive because it's worth it. So that's why you have to advertise in other places, because, you know, the bathtub refinishing keyword in Orlando, you know, you can bid on it for $5 a click, but in a year from now it might be 20 or 25, and then every single click is costing you a lot of money.
That makes sense. One thing I did like about Facebook advertising, and I've heard you talk about this before, where how specific you can target it. But one thing I like to do is, you know, because I work all over the city, I know what the houses look like in different areas of town. Like, I know which neighborhoods were built in the 70s, which neighborhoods were built in the 80s, which were built in the 40s. So I like to do like micro ads with a bathroom that I know looks like every bathroom in this neighborhood, and just set it at like a 2 mile radius. So that was really helpful, because that helps people see like, oh my gosh, that's what my exact bathroom looks like. So it's not as conceptual as like, oh, here's an ugly tub, I can make it look good.
Mm-hmm.
So that was,
have you seen a return on those? Like, are you tracking in any way where the leads are coming from? Do you know for a fact if you've gotten anything from Facebook specifically?
So like I was saying, we use Squarespace, and Squarespace recently has just become, I mean, within 6 months or so, has been a lot better about integrating with other like ad platforms like Google and Facebook, Meta, I guess, to be able to track every click and all of that. So I'm able to get, or even like my direct email marketing. I do a lot of like MailChimp blasts quarterly. And it can integrate with that to see how many people clicked on that, how many people pressed call. So it's really good for all of that. So I am now at this point able to see where business is coming from. But it's actually been quite a while since I've done any Facebook ads. So I might have to kind of just try a few out.
Okay.
See what happens.
And so, so who's doing the labor? Just you, right now? Okay. And so, and you're struggling to keep like a full week like busy. Is that what's going on?
Like I said, kind of it comes and goes in waves. I mean, I'll admit at this current moment, yes, but up until this week, we've been booked solid for, probably since April, but all of a sudden, like now it's kind of just getting kind of tepid. And I think a lot of the problem is that I am the one who does the ads and does the marketing, but I am also the one who does the labor. So I'm not able to keep consistency the way I should be, because I I get up early in the morning and I kind of check how the ads perform, kind of check the website, see if I need to make any tweaks to the website. I like to see what trails people are following on our website. So say I have a specific landing page for the ad. So say they went there, like what trail do they follow through our website, and how can I make more people click on more pages and get more information? So I do that all in the morning, go to work. I do the labor till it's finished. I come home, I make me and my husband dinner. I got to clean up dinner. And then it's like 8 p.m. and I sit on the couch and I'm like trying to do the same thing I was doing in the morning again. So, if I remembered to take videos while I was working, maybe pop some stuff on Instagram. So the problem is, like, because I can't focus on it as well as I should be able to, the consistency isn't really there. And that's kind of why I'm in that awkward period right now where, like, I really want to get to a point where I don't have to be on the job site all day. I want to be able to, like, pop in and make sure, like, everything's going smoothly and the customer's happy and a tech is doing a great job. Kind of just do quality control, but I don't want to have to, it's been 6.5 years. Like, I feel like we're at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm 30 now, which is not old, but like I've been doing this since I was 22. My body's starting to get to the point where, like, it feels it if I've, been working all day. So, yeah.
So, I'm just going to tell you this right now. So the most important thing for you specifically, based off what you're describing, is you got to do the part of the job that you love, because that's what's going to translate to numbers. So and from what I see, you're more into the business side of it, correct?
I am. I do love getting in there and just, like, I enjoy kind of working by myself and just kind of being able to pop my headphones in and put on a podcast and zone out and, like, do my thing for a day. But also I do kind of zone out and just do my thing for the day. Like, I like interacting with customers a lot. I love just like, I get to know people. Like, I kind of get to know people on a personal level. It's not always just like a, hi, I'm here to do the work. Okay, it's done, bye type situation.
So just based off what you were telling me, like,
yeah,
that's where I got that from. Because, you know, if you could choose, would you choose to keep doing the tech thing, or would you choose to be more behind the scenes, but also kind of be the face of the business?
Oh yeah, second option. If I could choose, hands down.
Okay, so if that's the case, you know, one of the things that is very, very difficult is to start letting go of certain things when you're in power, and it's hard because you want to maintain, like, you know, a certain quality, a certain image and stuff, but that's part of it. Like, I myself am kind of like a control freak to a certain extent. So like it's difficult to let go of stuff, but that's probably the one thing I would recommend is to start trying to hire people. And here's the reality of the situation. Here's the reality of the situation. You have to pay them enough to give a fuck. And
see,
like,
that's the problem. I don't know if I can even pay somebody.
Well, how much
like me and my mom, it would be easier, I think, if it was just one of us. But because we both have to make money, like both of us making money, and then having a third person to have to pay is just like so stressful. Like, what if we have a week like this week where I don't have a packed week? How do I pay someone? How do I get someone to stay with me?
You do. So there's plenty of things you can come up with to have them do that are brand building things, but you need to be profitable to the point where you can comfortably afford somebody, but you're never going to be 100% like, oh, I know I can hire somebody until you try it, because it may be the difference might be focusing that extra 5 to 6 hours a week on social media and really honing on your ads and stuff, and then you start seeing a big difference like of work. But I could sympathize with that because it was kind of the same scenario with me. Like, you know, me and my brother, and I have to worry about that, you know, so like he was doing more of the tech stuff, but it started to take a toll on him, similar to your situation, and he was like, hey, I want to be a little bit more hands off. So like I want to be a little bit more behind the scenes, and I'm trying to think how I can pay him without him producing like actual work. And I mean, the answer really is just spend more on advertising, spend more time researching and learning. And if it doesn't work out, worst case scenario, you might have to eat another year of you doing it. But if you never try it, you're never going to know if it works or not, which is it's the scary part, but it's also, you know, I would say try to give it a shot. And again, prices have a lot to do with that. So how much are you charging for like a standard bathtub?
For a standard bathtub, we actually have raised the prices quite a bit recently. We've kind of just been inching upwards. We're at $495 for a standard tub right now. Okay. And we do a 10-year warranty. Okay.
And what products are you using?
So I use everything I get from EAH in San Antonio.
Okay. All right.
I love them. We used to use Perma-Glaze actually has like a proprietary product that we used to use, but it was a 48-hour cure, and that was just
annoying,
untenable. So I tried several different things for about the whole of 2019. I was testing out different products, just trying to make sure I found something I really liked that looked great, but also in Dallas, especially, a lot of houses only have one bathroom. So I wanted something that would be able, you know, they could use the next day. Mm-hmm. That didn't feel gritty to the touch, because a lot of quick dry products feel very gritty, mm-hmm. Or did at the time. So yeah, I tested, you know, their products, and they just look they looked great to me, but they also felt very user friendly. So they were the ones I personally liked best. So I've been using their products ever since.
Okay, so I mean, $4.95 is not bad, but I mean, is that fairly competitive in your area? Everyone's charging about that.
You know, our market is all over the place.
Okay.
We have people who are professionals who are still charging like $275. I mean, our lowest ever price was $385, and we've bumped it since then. But then on the other end, we have another competitor who they're charging $675 for a standard tub.
Okay.
So we're kind of in the middle. Like, I know a couple other companies who are pretty well within the price range we are, but then there's also some pretty crazy outliers.
So, and then like for a tub and surround, like tile surround, what are you charging for that?
Right. So if it's just a standard tub, we charge the $495 for a standard tub, or if it's a cast iron tub, since they're a little larger, we do $550. So it's whatever the price for the tub, and then $455 for the surround. So it's usually around like $950, $1,000.
Okay, that's not bad. I wish I could charge that here. I've tried.
I thought you charged $499 for a tub.
For a tub, yeah. For the tub, I can get away with it, but everybody here, like, they're of the mindset, and I don't play into it, but like, I have to stay within a certain area, or else like bigger jobs I'll miss out on, because everyone here is used to working in volume. So like, you get calls from people who have rental houses, like vacation houses, a lot, and they'll be like, oh well, I want to do like 3 bathrooms and the kitchen, and like, if you charge them full price for everything, they'll be like, oh, I don't get a discount for doing multiple things. And then, like...
Oh, for sure. We do multiple surface discounts. If people, if they've got more than one thing, like, in a house, we'll be like, hey, we've got you. You know, we'll give a discount.
I can get close to those, like, 900 to 1,000 when I'm doing, like, if I'm doing just 2 regular tubs where I don't really necessarily care, like, if it doesn't happen, like, I'm gonna get another job that's gonna fill that vacancy. So I could do that. Sure. When I do a tub and surround, I have to be in like the 750 to 800 range for most of the time.
That's just I don't know. I get it, because it's like, well, you're already there, you're already set up, you're already doing it, but it's so much more surface area. It's more product than on a tub. Like,
yeah, and well, people out here think that's expensive. So I got together with a company called Bath Art that's local in Orlando.
I'm familiar with them.
We coordinated to raise prices, because most of the time in our area, people are choosing between us or them. So we met and we coordinated a price increase together.
I love that. I love when companies in an area work together, because they know there's enough work for all of you, and help each other out. That's so great. Everyone here sees each other as competition, and it is, but also the DFW metro area has like 6 million people. There's plenty of work to go around for the 5 companies that are here.
Honestly, people buy for their own reasons. Like, it might be that the color palette on your website resonated more with a person. So like, I don't see that as competition. I see them as people who are also in the industry with us. There's no reason to be fighting and like all that stuff. It's like, look at, like, you know, athletes. They play for different teams in different cities, but at the end of the day, they're all at the same restaurant, at the same bar, because at the end of the day, like, that's just the game. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you guys can't tip each other off and, you know, like, you know, have a conversation. Like, it really is something where, like, you build a bigger sense of community within the industry, and it helps it grow. When we talk to each other, the industry gets better. If there is no communication, everybody who has something that might be able to help somebody else, all that information you have just dies with you if you don't share it. So it's stupid, you know, like, so when we did that, we coordinated, because the industry, like, standard price in Orlando was around $350. So we were like, let's just jump to $499, and they initiated it. So they're the ones that were like, hey, let's do this. And I was already thinking of a price increase. Well, I had tested $475 actually. And they called me and they're like, let's talk about this. And we coordinated and we lined up our prices with bathtubs, tub and surrounds, showers, non-skid, like everything. Like
that's awesome.
Let's keep them in this range, and let's do it like that. And it's worked out very, very well. But I'm still having not trouble, but it is hard sometimes to like get someone to spend $900 on their tub and surround here, because there's companies that are still advertising, like in their Google ad, they'll put tub and surround for $550. So, you know, there's a certain type of person that you get in Orlando that, because this market is so hot right now too, that just flip the house and they're never going to see it again. And like, it's hard to sometimes say no to those kinds of people, because you're never going to have to get a warranty call. They're going to sell it. Like, and yeah, it's less money, but you know in the back of your head, like, I'm never going to have to deal with this job again. A lot of the times where I'm like very, very sticking to our prices is when I know someone's lived in the house or living in the house and it's going to be their home for like the foreseeable future. I have to ask that question here, because it really does dictate the buyer. You know what I mean? The kind of buyer.
Definitely.
And then, so I mean, based off what I'm hearing, I don't think your prices are necessarily an issue. If anything, I mean, you might be able to go higher. It just, you gotta weigh your cost versus your income, and whenever it feasibly makes sense to you to look for somebody else and kind of start, even if you have to train them and get a couple of cheap labor years out of them, with the understanding that once you get to a certain point you can pay them more, that might be the way to go. That's kind of how we started. My number one guy right now is named Ralph, and he was actually a high school friend of my brother's. He started working with us, getting paid $75 a day. That was
wow.
Yeah. Well, now he gets paid $200 to $250, and
hey, that's amazing.
Yeah, and he's super excited about it, and he's the one that I gave the nice new truck to, because he's my most responsible guy. But we got him when he was very young, fresh out of school, didn't have anything really, and didn't want to work like fast food or something like that. He likes the flexibility and stuff, and incrementally we've been able to get him to the point where now he's like well paid in any standard. You know what I mean?
Right.
And also you could also start off with a helper. You know, maybe getting some more jobs in yourself, and then letting them know eventually this is going to be you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it was, my mom and I together, I think it was all of 2016 through most of 2017, we did every job together. And I kind of started off just literally just like handing her supplies.
Yeah.
And then just, okay, here, you can scrape this caulk, or now you can etch. You know, it's kind of, and I think that's best, instead of just like throwing something, someone in and being like, you can handle this. I like that, like, start at the very beginning, and let's just slowly give you more responsibility. Build on top of it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's like anything though, like eventually to maintain, you can get cheap labor, but to maintain them once they know is gonna cost. So you gotta think of it as an investment, and I would say at least start thinking about how you can start making those moves to get to that point, because it is gonna help your business. Marketing is a full-time job.
Yes.
And every day that you're not 100% available to do it, the business is gonna suffer to some degree.
That's true.
It sucks, but like. Yeah. If you're trying to do everything yourself, it's hard. Do you answer the phone calls and all of that too?
No, that's what my mom does. So she has the phone and handles the email. So she takes customer inquiries and gives them the quotes, and gets them scheduled. So she handles all of that. I would lose my mind if I had to do all of that.
Okay.
But that's her part of it.
I also think she needs to kind of be on board and understand the struggle that you're getting from this, and understand that, like, well, what's the, like, because, I mean, look, think about it like this. If you have to, out of necessity, work deep into your 50s with labor, doing manual labor, I have no doubt you would do it, but would you want to do it?
No.
And if you
I barely want to do it deep into my 30s.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you never try to hire somebody, and then you look back when you're 55 and like, damn, I should have actually tried, at that point, it's already going to be too late. The whole landscape of how people are going to be making money is going to be different. So, like, I would try as soon as feasible to start getting somebody to assist you, pay them what you can, and eventually, you know, try to make those moves. I know it's easier said than done, but you have to, like, if you want to build your business, marketing needs to be a full-time thing, customer service needs to be a full-time thing, and the technicians need to be a full-time thing. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think it's never going to be the perfect time. I think it's just about taking the leap and just, like, having the faith that, like, the trust in myself that, like, I've got this. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good at what I do. I can handle this.
You know, when might be a really good time is if you land a project and you need help already. Like, and then just work into the cost of that project that you plan on maintaining this person. So you know, maybe charge a little bit more than you normally would with that in mind, and then, you know, do the work, or either that, or, you know, part of your profits go to, like, putting more money into your ads and stuff so that you can have the work lined up for when that project is over. Like we went to Puerto Rico with Perfect Surface Glazing, and they were asking me, him and his dad were asking me, like, what we were doing for ads while we were there, because we were there for 3 weeks. And I told them, I'm spending more on ads now. Like, and they were like, oh, but, like, you're going to be here for 3 weeks. Aren't you worried that people are going to, like, not, like, they're not doing the job now, so they're going to go and find someone else and you're just wasting money? And I told them, not everybody is a buyer today. So, like, you remember the ones that are ready today, because, like we were talking about before, it's that instant gratification. You know that they just called, they got your quote, they scheduled. But what about that whole other segment of people who are planning their renovations? And they stopped their ads, and then they just had a week recently where they didn't have much going on. And then they were asking me if leads dried up, and I'm like, not for me. It was you know, like, and like I said, we're good friends and stuff, but they literally were like, we're never doing that again. Like, next time we're going to run ads the whole time. And I told them, like, you never stop advertising. And if anything, when you have extra money, you advertise a little bit more. When you have a little bit extra work and you have extra income, you advertise a little bit more, because even the biggest companies in the world never stop advertising. You will never not see McDonald's run an ad and every freaking person in America knows who they are. Like, it's for a reason. It works. And sometimes people just need to be reminded that you exist, because maybe their kid got hurt at a football game or something while they were thinking of getting their tub refinished, and it's a week later and they see that ad pop up again and they're like, oh shit, I need to do that.
Yep, exactly.
And that sometimes that's the difference.
So that's great. That's great advice, because that makes complete sense. But for some reason, we put all our money in the ads when we're slow. And then when we're busy, we're like, we're good. But that's probably why we have a slow period, is because when we're good, we're like, we don't need to worry about that.
I used to convince myself that I did not need to spend more money on ads. I would, like, cut down. I used to be the $10 a day person on Google not too long ago. Yeah. I used to do that. And then I would be busy. I'll put it down to $5. Then I'm thinking, why would I do that? Like, one day I was just like, you know what? I'm going to put 25. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to put 50. And my thinking was, I will only get charged if it's working, and I want more work. Like, I keep telling myself I want more work, So if I'm serious, it's literally putting my money where my mouth is, where my mind is. And you have to just think in the back of your head, I'm only going to get charged this money if it's going to work. And most of the time, it works when you invest more in your advertising.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that might be a game changer for you guys too. I think that maybe that will be the difference that will allow you to hire people. Because at your prices, you're not that far away.
I think so. I know I have no idea how long we've been going, so at any point cut me off. But another thing I think might be an obstacle, but it might just be in my head, is that I do love that we are an all-female business, and I do kind of want to keep it that way because I feel like it gives us a clientele that's a little unique. And I'm like, what woman wants to do this job? I didn't at first.
Can we cut this here and then start a new one? Because I just did check the time and we're at like 47 minutes. So let's go.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop it and we'll start off the next episode right where we left off, and we'll start it like that. Okay. It's not gonna change much on your end. I'm just gonna stop it, do the outro thing, and then redo it. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right. So you guys can keep up with the conversation on the next episode. We're going to go ahead and outro here, and we'll start up the next one right away.
You just listened to the official Bathtub Refinishing Podcast, powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to ask any questions or suggest topics for the next episode by following @BathTubGuys on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. And thanks for listening.